And we're live. It's noon, August 10th. So this must be Coffee with Ralph. Listen, I'm Ralph Gale. I'm your host. And I've been at this business for quite a few years. It seems like probably most of my life. And coffeewithralph.com is a free 15-minute call with me concerning whatever topic you want to discuss regarding your retirement. You know, sometimes the things that happen to us in the course of a week or maybe a month or maybe the year tells us that we should be thankful for a lot. And sometimes weeks and even months, even years can be difficult periods of time. And this past week/month, going on a year, it seems, has taught me that you need to be prepared. You have to be ready for the unexpected. Let me explain. Just this week, we've had 2 TVs go out. We had a deer with the car. We had another car that was totaled. We've had problems with the campers. We've had problems with the house. We've had problems with the first. It seems like every time we've turned around, there's been another issue that's come up. And thankfully, we've been able to handle most of them relatively quickly. But what's that got to do with what I wanted to discuss today? This week, I also got a call from a very dear friend of mine that told me that he had a death in the family. And I asked, if there's anything I could do, because, hey, after all, I'm in life insurance, in the insurance field, I might be able to help with the claiming or whatever. And he says, no, actually, we're pretty thankful because he had it pretty well planned out before he'd passed away. And so the only thing the kids were left with was a memory board. And that's awesome. That's all that was left for the kids to worry about. But after all, life insurance, most people think life insurance is good for the cost of the funeral and maybe to pay a few bills, and that's still out there dangling around. And truth is, yeah, that's one of the reasons for it. I quite often talk about using life insurance to build cash value so that we can use the cash value in retirement as a way to augment our stream of income, maybe keep pace with inflation. And that's a good use for life insurance. But let's be honest about the reality of the situation that's going on here. And while I was really appreciative of everything was taken care of for the kids, I'd asked about the benefit. And he said, well, it was enough for take care of the funeral and, like I say, some of the bills. But what about the income that was about to be lost? Should we have talked about that? Should more planning have been done with that? Well, let's take a look at that just a bit. He dies. She's going to lose part of the Social Security. Of course, we keep the higher amount. So we'll go into a couple little illustrations there in just a minute. But she also about to lose half his pension. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. You see, it's quite interesting that I think that most advisors, actually, I think most people, let me just rephrase it. I think most people think that everything goes on as it should when one passes away. And that's not the case. It's not cheaper if one person eats than two. It's almost impossible to cook for one person. So most of the time that person is going to end up eating out or eating with family. And that helps too. But let's talk about the change in lifestyle that's about to happen here. I'm going to use just some general figures. I mean, they're not they're not accurate to this particular situation, but for the sake of illustration, they'll work just fine. I'm going to assume for a minute that his Social Security was $2,000 a month. The spousal benefit of that is about 55% or about $1,100. So that's a $3,100 a month income. And because he passed away, she's going to keep the higher of the two amounts. So she's going to have $2,000. So that's an $1,100 a month change in the budget right there, isn't it? And the 50% reduction in his pension, that's a spousal benefit. That's pretty typical. And that's, let's say his pension was $1,500 a month. So now she's got $750 a month coming in from that. So if we add the two together, he started out in retirement at $4,600 a month. And now that he's passed, that's going to be reduced to $2,750. If you did your math real quick, that's $1,850 a month reduction in income. I don't know about you, but that's substantial enough reduction in my budget that it would cause me to look at how I spend money a whole lot more careful. And I'd really wonder if I could make it stretch, if that's the way I had set up my budget to start with. So let me talk to you about how most folks think that that's going to get replaced. Most think that we're going to have investments enough to offset that. And if that's the case, and that's supposed to be generating income, let's use the standard figure of 4%. That's what we're supposed to draw a month. Excuse me, yeah, a month off our investments annually to pay an income stream that we can't outlive, or we shouldn't be able to outlive. But anyways, let's go with that. If I'm going to replace $1,850 a month in income, then they need to have $550,000 in the bank. If they had $550,000 in the bank, I'm sure they're not living at $4,600 a month income. They're using a portion of that to live on too. That would mean we have the middle class or even the upper middle class income earners when they were working. But that wasn't part of the plan. To have a set amount just set aside so that that would replace an income. However, that's what we look at here at Fireproof Wealth Management. Guaranteed incomes that you can't outlive, so that the situation that we're talking about here doesn't happen. And sometimes, yes, we do that with life insurance, because there's a very high possibility that when you retire, that you're going to live off your assets. That's what you developed them for. That's what you built them for. You're going to live off your assets, which in truth means that there's nothing extra. And I don't know about you, but I don't care if you're living off the assets or not, or if the income stream from the assets. If all of a sudden you get a 20 or 30 or 50% reduction in your income, you're going to go somewhere to get that money. And if you set that up to be drawn against for the rest of your life, then you're going to really drain it down fast. Now, I was talking about preparing for the unexpected. Yeah, we buy extended warranties on our cars, and we'll buy them on our TVs and our appliances. And and if it breaks, then we've got something to pay for it, to help us pay. But do you know that a very small handful of people in the United States, it's not a high percentage at all, actually carry enough insurance on them to replace the income that's going to be lost if one of the people die? And if one of the couple pass away, it's a pretty good indicator that the other one's going to need help to stay in their house. Eventually, maybe not right away, but eventually. So could that life insurance help pay for those needed benefits that help to stay in their home. I mean, after all, I don't do as much as I used to, but I'd climb on the roof and I repair the roof, and I'd dig out pipes and all that good stuff. But I can't imagine my wife doing that in my stead. So that means that's going to get hired. And that doesn't come cheap. So it's going to be an interesting time of adjustment. I've yet to see a retiree that lost their spouse, that their life stayed the same. It's not. It's going to change. They spent most of their life with this person, and now to be without that person is, well, it's very difficult. So I'm hoping that the children surround mom and take care of her. She's going to need a lot of support. And the truth is, she's probably going to need financial support too. And we don't think about that. And the kids don't care. They're going to jump right in there and do what they need to do to make sure mom's comfortable at the cost of their retirement. So listen, I started talking about life insurance in the beginning, and I've moved into talking about needing care. It's one and the same, guys. Life insurance can be used to help offset an income loss. It can be used to help with inflation, during our retirement, if it's cash value the whole life, or even cash value index universal life or universal life. It's all meant cash. There are ways to use the life insurance policy to help offset inflation. And I don't know about you, but I've been to the store here recently, just the other day, and there wasn't a thing of meat in our cart, and there was $300 going out the front door. And I looked at my wife and I said, honey, I don't think this is going to last us a month, is it? She said, no, a couple weeks probably. Oh, that's right. There was no dog food or cat food there. So there's another $100 bill. So before we're done for the month, we'll spend at least $1,000 on food. That's not what it was a couple of years ago. Now, if you're a retiree and you just lost 40% of your income, you certainly didn't lose 40% of your food budget. It's a difficult topic. We don't want to talk about growing old, becoming infirm, and passing away. But we all do it. It is a guarantee in life that we are not going to stay in this life and on this world forever. And then we're not going to be 20 years old forever. My body's telling me, you're not 20 anymore, Ralph. Matter of fact, it's telling me I'm not even 40. Every morning it seems like there's a new ache and pain, if you will. It takes a little bit more coffee to get me going in the morning. So listen, there are some big excuses for not owning life insurance. The first one is it's too expensive. And I keep saying to people, I don't care if it's $100 or $500 a month. I want you to think about it in terms of this. Is it more expensive now when you have a solution to when income needs to be replaced? Or is it more expensive to think that when I'm gone, my spouse will have to change their lifestyle? That's the most expensive one right there. The other one is I can't health qualify. Listen, folks, there's always answers out there. There's solutions. But if you're looking to solve it yourself and you're not a professional in this industry, and all you're doing is listen to the TV commercials, you won't solve it. So listen, if you talk to me, that's great. Call me at coffee@ralph.com. That's a free 15-minute phone call. Or get a hold of another insurance professional out there that understands the value of life insurance and can explain it. Listen, we're running out of time today. I want to thank you for your time and attention. I want you to have a great week and a great weekend. It looks like it's going to be nice out there this weekend. So until next week, this is Ralph Gale